Hello to Melody McArthur. How are you today?
Sen, it's a guest son. Hi, everybody. I'm doing very, very well here in Ottawa, in Canada. I hope everyone's feeling well where they're from. Appreciate you having me.
I'm thinking of chat to you today. Can tell me roughly how have you been a singer-songwriter for?
Can you repeat the question?
How long have you been a singer-songwriter for?
Yes, I started putting out music seriously and original works and working with a producer in about 2014. And I put out my first album because there was no grants. It was all me paying for it. It took me a while, but my first album came out in 2018. And then after that, I found other producers and other ways to make my dollar work for me. And I have been putting out a single album almost every single year since then. So I'm set to release my seventh album since 2014, The Gospel Truth, here in 2026.
So, would you like to go into the recording studio called your debut single? Nothing.
I was going through an exploratory time, and the sound actually found me because the producer reached out to me on the internet, social media being what it was. I didn't know him. He didn't really know me. I guess he heard some of my songs on YouTube and he thought, hey, her voice might be good for this song. And he sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's clearly he's hearing something that I'm like, I have no idea. That's part of my, could be maybe part of my creative repertoire because it's all pop, it's dance, it's like up there, it's like club banging. And I'm like, that's not really what I make, but he heard my voice in it. And turns out he was right because I started walking around with it, listening to it, humming it to myself, trying to find a melody. And then I'm like, okay, here's the vibe. This is the vibe. What are the lyrics now? And then we co-wrote that together. His name is Louis Felipe Moore. And that's what was one of the products of working with him was Miwasan. And it's a really fun song. It's just didn't go where I wanted it to go. I think, most of that is money, like when you want things to go distribution wise, you can only take it so far with what money you have. So at the time, I didn't have much there. And I was also still a very green indie artist who didn't have all the strategies and tools and knowledge that I do now for my current project. That is actually going very well. Knock on wood.
So, you also released a single called Last Call. So, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, Last Call I is co-produced with Crystal Shawanda. She is a Nashville-based artist, but she is Canadian. And right now she's currently a blues singer. She's very well known, well award-winning, and I worked with her on it I think in 2025. And I had written that song after I got divorced. It was my first time expending a holiday by myself because I was raising two step kids and then like for like 12 years and then all that kind of disappeared and it was my first holiday alone. And I just remember having these intense emotions, these intense feelings, not necessarily just around that aspect, but when I write a song, I try to make it really relatable too. So even though I'm feeling all these things, not every word might apply to me exactly. But that is what came out of it. And Last Call is really true to my heart. And it's actually been one of a fan favorite. Like it got me a lot of views and people still request it when I'm singing live, the last call, last call. So I'm really proud of that record. I really am proud of it. It comes from the heart, and they say that some of the greatest songs you ever write are something that cost you, and I would say I paid a hefty price for it. And I'm really proud of that work. So thank you for asking about it.
So, do you like singing with other artists?
Yes, I do. I've done features mostly with other artists. Actually, it's really interesting how a lot of hip hop artists have gravitated toward my sound and wanted to use me in their songs. So I've actually featured more than I've done features, but I have done a bit of both. On my last album, Revelations, I featured Bryce Morin, who was my co-star in the aforementioned Bear Grease musical I was in that debuted off Broadway. He was my lead co-star and he sang with me on a track. It's called Beast of Burden. It is on Spotify and all the platforms. And then I also work with my buddy Lena Daniels. She's like a local musician to where I'm from, and we're friends and we often play together. And I featured her as well. And then I featured someone from my community where I grew up in Treaty 8 territory in northern Alberta, Canada. I featured him because his voice was just so, he's not really a performer, but his voice is so unique and interesting. It's like rock meets country, like Default. If anyone's a Default fan out there, it's kind of like Dallas Smith, or yeah, his voice is just really unique, and I knew it would fit. And it's I Don't Think I Love You Anymore. And that song has actually, without me doing virtually almost anything to promote it, has really lots of a lot of streams on my Spotify, I've noticed. So I'm like, oh, so that one slaps. The people like that, and I think they like that chemistry and the vocals. You know, I knew he'd be a good fit.
So tell me more about the album. It's called Relations.
Revelations, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like the Bible. Revelations is all about that time period I was coming from, because I had went from being a full-time mom and a wife to single and on my own and touring extensively for the past like 4 years in this musical theater group, Bear Grease, but also on my own as a solo artist. I was doing both, and I still am doing both. And I learned a lot of really good lessons, harsh lessons, beautiful lessons. I had some great fun experiences, some really downtrodden times. And that album, Revelations, is kind of all about that experience of exploring who I am now, being single and no longer taking care of children, right? It's a totally different dynamic in your life. And I'm in my mid 30s. So that was, that's a time when you should already know who you are if you were able to explore it in your 20s. But I was raising kids, so that didn't happen that way, right? So that's kind of what Revelations is about. All these things I was learning. And now the gospel truth that's coming is all about me as my most authentic voice, me just speaking from the heart, me exploring who I really am and what really matters to me, and some of the struggles that I have gone through, either mentally, physically, or emotionally, and socially as well. And of course, romantically, those are all the things that encompass me as a person. So that's what I like to write about, just the human experience.
So tell me about your latest single called Roses Never Fade.
That song is a mixture between some like romantic endeavors and things that didn't very go well, and some like toxicity that was going on in my life with relationships, and me like still learning boundaries, just as a human being, and also coinciding with my time spent out on the road, and how incredible that experience can be, but also how challenging it can be, in terms of loneliness, in terms of isolation, in terms of a grueling schedule, demanding schedule. Your mind, body, and spirit can get pretty worn down, and then the exchange that happens between you and the audience, that's an energy exchange. So there's a lot going on for an artist, especially when they're touring. They're never in one place, and I didn't have a home base, and you're not grounded in any way, and you got to find your grounding somehow. So that's what Roses Never Fade is about. And some of the themes I explore in that song is also this deep-seated sense of loneliness and grief, the human condition of aloneness, and how sad that can get sometimes. And it makes you question, would I be better off in the next phase of life? Do I want to be here? Those kinds of questions, it's just honest truth. And that's why it's called the Gospel Truth album, because I'm telling it like it is. So Roses Never Fade explores what it would be like to be in that phase, in that place. Can I go where my loved ones have gone to? Will I see them again? Will I get reunited? Will I be happy? What will it be like to go where the roses never fade? And it's the title is also a play on words, because there is a gospel song called Where the Roses Never Fade that I grew up with hearing from multiple singers locally, and just people around at parties and stuff, that they would sing this song. And I knew that my audience that I do have established already would probably pick that up and have just a general interest in the song immediately because of the title. But it still fits with the theme that I was trying to put out there.
So are you working on any new music in the future? You did mention
Yes,
the album.
I have something new coming out.
Soon?
Rock Bottom is going to be my next single that comes out following Roses Never Fade. There will be 9 tracks on the Gospel Truth album, and it's going to come out later in 2026. I'm just focusing in on the best singles that I think really are going to not just speak to me, but the people themselves, that I think are honest and authentic, and really just get you going in a good or bad way. But yeah, Rock Bottom's the next one.
So what's it like being an independent artist for you?
It's a lot of work, and you have to love it. I will say that. I do everything from the accounting to the booking. I would love an agent. Shout out, I'm ready for an agent. I'm self-managed. I do have a couple trusted people that I will talk to and ask questions about. It's nothing like there's no contract signed with me and other people. I do work with a non-exclusive deal with Nagamo Publishing. They're a Canadian-based publishing organization that helps me get my music out to like film and television, specifically trying to find indigenous content created by indigenous people. So that's really cool. That's going very well. But ultimately, I am doing everything myself, and it gets pretty taxing. I'm even writing all the grants. Like it's a lot. You have to love it. But I'm just kind of coming to this place where I'm in a bit of a trajectory right now, and all those things that I've had to do are kind of starting to reward me a bit. So it's an exciting time. And I'm looking forward to what the future has for me. And I do strive to be independent so that I can control creatively and I can also own everything for as long as I may. What's meant for us doesn't miss though. So if a label comes, hey, I'm open to it, but it's got to be the right timing and it's got to be the right label deal.
So, have you got any gigs coming up?
Yes, I'm playing March 15th here in Ottawa. I'm doing a gig at the Avant Garde. It's just going to be like a chill, laid back type of acoustic thing. And then in the summer, I've got some bookings for an annual event that they have in Stony Plain, Alberta. That's kind of where my area is from. And then in September, I'm going to British Columbia, Useus, to provide a private show, actually, for like a conference or something. So I'm excited about that. And those are the ones that I'm able to share anyway. In this business, there's a lot of don't say anything until whatever. And I do plan to take a trip out to Los Angeles here soon, feel the vibes, maybe do a show if I can. But I've just been a long time since I've been there. And after this monster production I'm in, I'm going to want a little time to myself. So I'm headed to Vancouver after this.
So, any thoughts about coming over to the UK? Some great independent music venues in the
Oh,
UK.
my God, yes. I'm glad you brought that up because I've been reaching out to venues. I've been doing all my research. I've been trying to find places that I know support not only Canadian artists, but indie artists and indie artists with my sound. So I've been reaching out to those kind of venues. I'm applying for grants, but I'm also saving money because heck, I really want to do it. I want to go to the UK. I want to tour UK. Definitely. It's on the list.
Great to see you performing in the UK. So, can you tell my listeners, where can I find you on your social media?
All my handles are all the same, and I'm on everything except for TikTok. I mean, Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days. I just cannot figure that thing out. But I am on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And because I'm like from the 90s and I grew up with Facebook the longest, I know how to use it the best. So I have a lot of followers on Facebook. But my handle is at Melody, like the song, McArthur, McArthur, music. All one word, all lowercase, and that's all across the board. And that's where you can find me. And I'm on all the platforms too, the Spotify's, the Apple Music, that stuff.
Thank me to chat to you today.
I really appreciate the time being talked to, and like gaining a new audience is always great. And I'm really appreciative when people reach out. And I wanted to ask you, how did you find me?
I think it's on one of the Canadian music pages, I think.
That is so cool. See, it's working. It's
It
working.
is. Yeah, your reach is getting out there. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Goodbye.